New Stream Deck time! New Stream Deck time! Yes! I bet it has like 50 buttons or some dials or sliders or foot pedals or brain control interface. I bet... Oh, this is just a revision of the OG Stream Deck. But you know what? I'm totally fine with that. But is a Stream Deck still worth buying in 2021? What is for sure worth buying in 2021 is our merch. If you watch this channel and enjoy it, you probably like the 80s, the 90s, the VHS style aesthetics, and we've got some awesome merch to go along with that. We've got high quality premium feeling desk mats, we've got enamel pins, we've got stickers, and a classic blank VHS cover design, which we will be expanding on in the future. I'm impressed with what we were able to pull off here, and I think you will be too. Head on over to eposvox.gg/merch to pick up yours and get a free trial to Nebula while you're at it. I'm EposVox, the Stream Professor, and Elgato had 8 big announcements this week regarding new products, resources, and tools for streamers. I'm covering them all in depth with a multitude of videos, both already up and some, coming soon on the channel. So make sure you hit the subscribe and notification buttons so you can stay informed. This is the Elgato Stream Deck, the new one, the Stream Deck Mk.2, as it were. This is a slot-in replacement for the original Stream Deck, a refresh that breathes a little quality of life into the product without changing it too much or increasing its price. Elgato did the same thing with the Camlink 4K as a slot-in replacement for upgrade for the original Camlink listing as well a couple years ago. If you aren't familiar with the Stream Deck, it's a powerful tool for streamers and content creators or anyone who wants more automation or control over your system. On the surface, it's a macro keypad, which you can make with any keyboard if you like, but it has a ton of direct integration with specific programs and services, plugins that expand that wildly, and cool widgets for displaying things like system stats and other things that you can't display on a standard keyboard. The physical thing that stands the Stream Deck out from general macro keypad options is the LCD screen behind the keys. Having built my own macro keyboards for a few years prior to the Stream Deck coming out, having instant icon changes without printing them out and taping them over top the keys, as well as having different visual states to indicate when a toggle is on or off, plus having infinite layers through pages and folder nesting is just so much better to use. The Stream Deck Mk.2 now has a detachable USB-C cable with a right angle cable included in the box. This is a huge improvement, as the original model had a hilariously short cable that was constantly a problem to cable manage properly and route and all of that, and something that was fixed basically with the Stream Deck Mini, and then the Stream Deck XL also included a detachable cable to address that too. You get a longer cable in the box and the option to bring your own. The original floppy stand has been replaced with a fixed angle stand like the other 2 Stream Deck models. This is removable. This is a better stand overall, but will be a disappointment for those who actually preferred the adjustable angles. I honestly had no major gripes with the original stand and have my other Stream Decks mounted on these cool custom clamps anyway. Etsy shop, link to that in the description below. However, they will need to update it for the Mk.2 models as well. The new Stream Deck has a detachable faceplate. You can order from a set of pre-made and ideally continuously growing collection set of designs from Elgato's website, or just pull yours off and paint or decal it to make it yours. I'm all about customization. So I absolutely love this decision. I haven't figured out exactly how I want mine to look yet, but I definitely know that I'm very excited to get working on it once I do. A side effect of having the removable faceplate is that you can actually strip the Stream Deck Mk.2 down to just its brain, the buttons, and the main board for them. This produces a much smaller Stream Deck, which could then be more easily integrated in or embedded into custom projects a lot easier, or integrated into your Stream Deck or desk or something like that, where you're building your own little platform or something like that. That's pretty neat. Comparing the new Stream Deck to the originals is a tad misleading if you're a longtime owner. At first glance, the new Stream Deck gets significantly brighter and seems more clear at first. However, this is due to age and wear. I leave my Stream Decks on pretty much 24/7 and have for years. Elgato have actually introduced screensaver and sleep mode features to help deal with this. If I open up an original Stream Deck that was sealed and unused prior to this testing, yes, I consider the Stream Deck so essential that I keep extra ones on standby in case I get an inspiration to build something new or something like that. Comparing the unused Stream Deck to the new one, they are identical in brightness, clarity, color, temperature, etc. The same thing applies to the button feel as well. Newer Stream Decks feel a bit more clicky than ones that have been used a long time, but this new one is still the same screen and buttons as the old one. And otherwise, this is still the same Stream Deck as the original. I really respect the decision to do it this way. It's an upgrade over the previous product in terms of workflow for those who are buying it new, but they aren't really trying to upsell someone who already owns a Stream Deck and convince them that they have to buy this new one in order to get the best Stream Deck. This also makes it clear just how solid of a product the original Stream Deck was. I was so hyped when it first released due to the potential I saw in it, and they have completely revamped the software, injected it with a ton of functionality and customization, and so many streamers and other content creators, even on the bigger broadcast and production level, have come to rely on it for their workflow. There's a weird idea that goes around about gear that once a streaming product has been out for a few years, it's old and outdated, but that's incorrect. That's not how gear works at all. If you go on any film set, go behind the scenes of any broadcast production, photography gig, radio station, etc., you see pretty much only gear that has been out for a few years, some of it for a few decades. Cheap, unsupported gear gets outdated. Gear worth buying matures. There's a huge difference. Many of the best microphones used today have been based on designs as old as I am. The lights you see on sets are usually staples that were established years ago, and many professionals' lens kits are decades old. Hell, audio mixing boards are often kept around till they die. Had the Stream Deck been released as it was in 2017 and had no further support or changes to it or the software or anything like that, yeah, it probably would have become outdated. Competition would have made things that were better or cheaper, and Elgato's little toy would have became irrelevant. But that didn't happen. The software continued to get updated with quality of life improvements, new integrations, and new features, and the whole new plugin store, which with the plugin API, which allows people to build onto it. You got customization and so on. And where Elgato has failed to deliver what someone wants, various communities have stepped up to add even more value to the product. There's an unofficial Linux client to run it on Linux, fairly fully featured, to full macro and hotkey packages for major production apps like Adobe Creative Cloud or DaVinci Resolve from places like Slideshow FX, and then you have full broadcast and production hardware integration with BitFocus Companion and tools like that. And again, all of the plugins being developed by genius minds like BarRaider. While I fell in love with the Stream Deck in 2017 and knew its potential would be much bigger than it was delivering at the time, it's still shocking to see how far it's come since launch. If anything, I think there were reasonable arguments in favor of holding off on buying a Stream Deck originally, much like I posed about the live streamer Nexus from AverMedia recently, that are no longer a concern. There's never been a better time to buy a Stream Deck. The platform and software are in a better place than they've ever been, and there's just so much functionality here. This is similar to, say, someone like Linus whenever he upgrades the LTT editor's DINs with hardware upgrades. He doesn't specifically choose the latest and greatest because he wants the most stable and mature platforms for his daily grind editors to get the most work done. Gear like this, which has matured more, will continue to be a good value even multiple years later. I think this poor mindset runs specifically rampant in the streaming scene because of the inherently toxic effect that streaming viewership has on gaming in the first place. The whole idea of if a game doesn't have enough hype on Twitch, it's a dead game, and games moving forward to drip feed content releases cycles to keep streamers and stream viewers glued to it, and all of that just has had a very frustrating impact on the gaming industry overall, and I really don't want to see that happen applied to tech here. Something doesn't have to have a new hype building campaign every few months. It just has to do the job well. The Stream Deck isn't dead or irrelevant because there isn't new hype around it 24/7. Tens of thousands of people or more, I don't actually have numbers on that specific metric, use them in their setups, often multiple of them, for all sorts of work, from streaming related or not, completing hundreds of millions of actions per month, which is a huge number, and they just don't have a reason to constantly hype up the tools they use. They're just tools. Gear is not a lifestyle or a philosophy. This whole same discussion can be applied to the Go XLR, which is still acting as a workhorse for tons of creators, and many more products. There is competition to the Stream Deck, however. Touch Portal lets you use any phone or tablet you own for free to start with, and seems to be getting more and more integrations and features as they can, which is pretty nice. Streamlabs has a mobile-specific control deck app for Streamlabs OBS, if you're stuck using that for some reason. Elgato themselves have a Stream Deck for mobile app, though it's definitely more limited compared to, Touch Portal on the go. Plus, general WebSockets control of OBS allows for so much. You can do pretty much anything with it. Should you buy a Stream Deck in 2021? Probably. If it's not in your budget right now, or you're not sure you'd actually get use out of it, instead of jumping and throwing money at it, I would say start with something like the free run of Touch Portal on a spare phone or tablet or your main phone, and just see what's out there and see how useful it can be in your workflow before you decide, and then decide from there. And if you've just been on the fence, I'd say 100% go for it. It's in the best place that it's ever been, and this new version is just a nice little quality of life upgrade and improvement to make it more useful and worthwhile. I have a whole playlist of Stream Deck related content linked below if you need some ideas. Product links will be down there too, as well as our merch if you want to go pick that up. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Come get help with your stream or talk about nerdy tech stuff like this over on our Discord server at discord.gg/EposVox. Hit subscribe and notifications. I'm EposVox. Remember, be kind, rewind.